Hello, my name is Dr. Omar Sabbagh. I'm a new Daraja Press author. I'm going to just say a little bit about myself and about my new book with Daraja Press, Night Settles Upon the City, a poetry collection out of contemporary Beirut. Firstly, I'm British Lebanese. Grew up for the first 30 years of my life in London and the UK. Did all my degrees, undergraduate and postgraduate, in the UK. I've taught at the American University of Beirut in Dubai, the American University in Dubai, and now I'm based at LAU, Lebanese American University in Beirut. I'm really pleased to talk about my new book with Daraja Press, Night Settles Upon the City. It's a poetry collection, in the main, written in the last month or so, swiftly on impulse, a kind of war diary in verse out of contemporary war-torn Beirut. It has two main sections, split in half across the book, with an interlude middle section of other poems to do with family and familiar griefs and celebrations. In any case, I want to read a few of the samples from this new book. I'll start with the title poem itself, Night Settles Upon the City. As with most of the work in this book, I teeter on the fringe of formalism insofar as rhyme and half-rhyme are normally consistent across the whole book, so that the work will read well off the page, as well as, I hope, being well received orally out loud. This is the first poem, Night Settles Upon the City. It's not the first poem in the book, but the first poem I'll read here and the title poem of the book as a whole. Night settles upon the city. Night settles upon the city. A panther's pelt, slowly curving round us, rich and blue and voluptuous, enveloping us like memory of the things we couldn't abide and of the things we could. Purple mixed with a thick-set umber. The night sky's a hand filled with soil that might have made so much, flower after treasured flower, but which now can only fail to start what might have been. Such bounteous hopes, such childhood. The world has a rich man's seal embossed upon it, blood-red wax stamped upon the unopened letter, whose words spell out the detail of dreams now snuffed, desires quashed beneath the attack of this dark and violent animal. The second poem I want to read is titled War Diary, and it's the subtitle of the first partition of the book about Beirut. It was written after I gave advice to colleagues when we were discussing online how to deal with the situation at hand. My spontaneous advice was to keep a diary, to make objective what was subjective and thereby control it and ease and quiet the anxiety that way. And so this piece is called War Diary. Words on paper, tall green blades swaying on a prairie, billowed by a heartening wind. Spilled language, a great lake, calming a thick-set mind, quieting the eye that looks upon it, steadier and steadier for it. These are the images that give me rest, if not repose. We are resigned here to face a faceless enemy, gripped and braced by a faceless fear. But then they tell me that words placed upon a paper might just solve the absurd price that's paid each day here. A little bit anyway. Dear diary, listen to the bleeding of the artless art, log and gauge the terrors of our times. Be a refuge for the homeless. Be a place made sure by shoring pillows, because history is here, right here. Yes, no. The vicious quid pro quos. I'm going to read two more in a little bit as well. I want to read two more poems here. Both are dedicated to my father, Omar Sabbagh, and though both are about Beirut, there's a kind of significant mapping going on here in terms of, my father grew up here and he's attached to the country in ways that I am not. So that often the emotiveness I may project towards the city is derivative upon or rooted in the feelings I have towards my very loving father. So this kind of is a leitmotif across the book. This piece is called CNN, etc. The old man buries his head in his hands, his eyes downcast, lowered. The inside of his palms are secret maps. He seems to be questioning. His jowls have grown looser and flabbier of late. His heart has aged. This is Beirut, he seems to say, a place for an old man to get heavier and older. Though the TV still blares its rot, he doesn't seem to be listening anymore. As the day's end dies as we've come to expect, bombs, the night's fluting. The newsperson waxes on. But what's to understand? That murder can be finessed, that violence and hate can find themselves told in a smoothening, softening tale? The old man shivers with the cold. The collateral damage grows on the screen. These are the fallen petals from the sun-sprung flowers of what might have been. He looks up now with tears in both his eyes. This is Lebanon, he whispers, the land of my fathers. This next poem is the close of the Beirut poems as a whole across the book. It's titled The Old Man and His Walking Stick, and it's also dedicated to my father. And you'll notice by the end here that it maps two kinds of war zone. One literal in Beirut, but one also that we all must face, which is mortality. The old man and his walking stick. It gets worse each day, watching him aging. The drain that seems to drag at his limbs, spindly and white, and slowly thinning. Watching the old man as he begins to return to his beginnings. A predictable route. I idolize the wiseacre, a newborn son each dawn, rising each day to start to pay the debt I'll still be owing when I'm an old man. If that ever happens, if my life withstands the draining force of being misunderstood time and time again. And because he's good and honest, and because what's right maps so well upon the angles of his most intimate wishes, I mourn for him now, well before he passes, wishing to be for him another walking stick, dispatching prayers in the only language rich enough to transcend the way things are. An old man and his son, fighting a war in a war zone we all must visit. Thank you very much. Please look out for my publication with Daraja Press, Night Settles Upon the City. It's available at the website of the publisher now for pre-order at discount, and will be published on November 1, 2024, and then available via the publisher, via Amazon, via bookshops, etc. All my best wishes from a wounded Beirut, Omar Sabbagh.